next Monday. Our final guest on the show this morning, a fellow expat, so you know he's going to be a good bloke. His name is Kev Davies. He's been here for 11 years. Kev, first of all, welcome to 101 FM.
Thanks very much, Mike. It's really good to be here, and thanks for inviting me. Awesome.
My pleasure. And, you know, we were just chatting off air. You and I have got similar sort of sporting backgrounds. Mine was in speedway, yours is in karting. I have to ask, did you ever do any on-track activity?
This is kind of how the karting thing started, because I did buy a go-kart, and I did have a crack at racing a go-kart, and I found it quite nerve-wracking, and I thought, which way am I going to go with this? And I was doing a lot of photography at the time, and so on and so forth, but the kart racing, you would not believe how nerve-wracking it is compared to the likes of your just a Kingston Park go-karts, which are just a higher cost. These things are twice as fast. It's proper scary. So I had a go, but then things have developed since then, and I'll explain all that as we go on.
Well, you became an adult, basically. as our mutual friend Phil Kane will tell you, I have had a go on a speedway bike on many occasions over the years, and I very quickly realised I can talk about it, I just can't do it. And I was much better at talking about it than doing it. But it also, I think it's important that you have a go, because you then have the extra respect for the actual performers, so to speak. They go, wow, they make it look so easy, and that's a skill. If you can make something look easy, then
exactly. And I've driven restricted karts, I've driven the open performance karts, I've driven DD2s, which are 2-speed gear karts, and I've driven gearbox karts. So I've had actually a go in all of them, as well as twin engine 4-stroke karts. So I've actually driven all of the type of karts there are, except for a supercar. We'll maybe talk about that. I think they're next level. So I've driven in all of them. But yeah, when I started the racing thing, I was actually at that time, a good friend of mine, Steve Lamb at Warwick Kart Club, was convening the canteen. I was helping him do the bacon and eggs in the morning, photography, and then got into karting. But then the then president, Mr. Peter Lane, said, is there anybody want to have a go at commentating? Our commentator hasn't turned up. Right. And I kid you not, from that day, the kart had to go to the sideline, because the way I did it that day is the way I do it right now. And I kind of, it's a funny analogy, but the guy you see in the street who plays the multiple instruments and sings, he's got cymbals between his knees and a drum in his feet. I think I'm like that, because I've got a camera in one hand, a microphone around my neck, the timing is in the second hand, and if I need to put lips on, because I'm going to burn my lips, I've got to put one of them down and apply. So it is multitasking at its best.
If only we had a video, we could have got Kev to display that for us right here. And it's interesting, because I used to work for ITV, Anglia Telly, and on the nights that we wanted to film Speedway, I had a choice. I could either do my presenting or I could film. I couldn't do both. But I did a smart thing. I taught my wife how to be a video camera operator, and she did it. So we got double money. It was great. So had you had any experience in commentary of any description before?
Absolutely zero. What I had done is obviously presented to delegates for Makita Manufacturer that I work for in England. Okay. So presenting to sort of, higher management in general work relations. So that kind of thing was the only time I'd ever presented to people as a whole. This very much was when I was given the microphone. I thought, right, I'm not really sure I'm going to play this. First of all, where am I going to get the names and numbers from the karts?
Well, that's the thing, and you need a little bit of background spiel in the middle, because if you've got a race that's not particularly tight, you want to be able to chuck out some stats.
And it kind of, I think, well, I'm not blowing my own trumpet, but it came naturally, and I honestly just have fun with it. And people make the call that more maybe because Kev's there's numbers that come to the race meeting. That's not actually true. All I do is create an atmosphere, and when you create an atmosphere, it makes it sound exciting, makes it sound good. People want to be there. But not only that, because I'm videoing it now, parents, grandparents, people who are abroad, your mum, your dad, your brother, your sister, they can look back at your race and go, wow, because the only other place you can get this is the national series, which have a full-blown filming for the actual national series, which is great. But just
talking about karting, I mean, if you go back to the UK, Lewis Hamilton, that's how he started.
Every single V8 driver that you could mention, and Formula One driver, every one of them, and a lot of the rally drivers too, actually started in karting. Almost bar none. Everybody comes from karting and progresses through. Almost every single one of them.
So it's like the apprenticeship, and they go from there. And again, interesting, because we're both from the UK, where Lewis Hamilton used to do his karting was a place called Hoddesdon, next to Wright House Speedway. Which I used to do some work at Wright House. Small world. And you talk about the atmosphere, and I get it, because I remember I was very fortunate. I got invited to the ECA in 1988 when it was the Australian Australia versus England Test series, and we had 25,000 people in the crowd that night. I was the sole Brit. There wasn't one other, and I had to march out on the infield with the microphone. And it's the only time I've ever gone, what am I doing? But you know what it's like once you get into it.
Exactly. I've just come back from Melbourne. I was doing the RKA, the Retro Karting Association. That's retro karting guys. It's a clubman and Formula 100. So it was the premier class a few years ago, where probably the likes of Whincup and those guys came from, and they've got this fabulous association. We had 81 entries in that one down at the Puckapunyal circuit. Absolutely amazing. But to see that machinery going around on circuit still is amazing. So I get to go to some fabulous places and meet some tremendous guys, who are from the current racing. So there's some of these guys are still racing Formula 5000, TCR, V8 team owners race that series. It's everybody.
As a sport, how does it compare with other motorsport by way of getting fans in, by way of getting sponsors in? I know in Speedway in particular, it's gone from, in the UK, being the second biggest spectator sport behind football to a minority sport. Is karting the opposite? Is it on the way up?
When the Karting Association, the governing body, changed some years ago, I think the old clubmans, as we call them, the F100s, I think they were kind of put to one side, and the newer KA engines, so KA3, KA4, all these different types of engines came in, and I think there was a transition period, and I think it may have been obviously to coincide with what's going on around the world in other places, in Europe and so on and so forth, but when that happened, I think the numbers fell down a little bit. Now, as it is now, I don't think anybody would worry about whether numbers are being up or down. As long as you go and have fun at the track, you don't really worry about what the numbers are doing. However, in southeast Queensland, I will confirm we're doing very well on numbers, and the likes of Ipswich, Warwick, Kalula, Toowoomba, they're getting really good numbers. And then there's Lismore and Dalby, which I also go to. The numbers are good, and it's not just because let's talk about what other sports there are. Every kid, and parent for that matter, has a choice of what sport they want to do. If you go to a ball sport, there's a chance that you'll do well and have fun, and it's great, and it's very physical. If you go to other motorsports, so motocross and the bike sports, there's a much bigger chance of breaking bones.
Absolutely.
Now you compare all these with the adrenaline rush you're going to get from a sport, and karting will be number one. Nothing would be as high as karting, in my opinion, because when you're 2 inches off the ground doing 100 kilometers an hour, I kid you not, there is nobody that will give you that adrenaline rush, but you don't break bones. So it's amazing, and parents, grandparents, they can come watch their 9-year-old go around a track, and I make him sound like a V8 driver, so it's even better.
I tell you what, though, you're talking about adrenaline. Here's an adrenaline rush for you. Sit on a 500cc speedway bike, drop the clutch, no brakes, no gears, and tell me when that fence is coming up, you don't get an adrenaline rush.
Exactly, yeah. But that's one of the bone breakers again. So that's the.
Tell me about it. Yeah. Phil Kane, if you're listening this morning, do not do a stand bear and make a comeback, mate. Okay, Stan Bear is older than me. He's 60. I think he's 62, and he was out on a club day at North Brisbane Speedway last week. He's got brand new Kevlars. He's taking it seriously.
Yeah.
But then we got Jason Crump in his mid-40s making a comeback as well. That's amazing. If people want to see you in action, now you've got your own tour, for goodness sake.
Well, the funny thing is, I was approached by one of the drivers and said, Kev, we want some numbers in the Masters class. And I call them the old buggers. I give everything names. And I said, well, leave it with me, see what I can do. So last year I had the Pie Eaters and Old Buggers series. It's kind of developed this year to the Noisy Tour, sponsored by Project X, my good mate Will Yarwood at Project X Racing. And we've basically put together a series of 5 races going to different tracks, Bundaberg, Ipswich, Kalula, Warwick, and it's just fun, it's just absolutely good fun that we can all go out and have a blast, and the camaraderie you get from these guys that all want to be together. We've got youngsters, we've got old guys, we've got big guys, because we call them the sumos, the tag heavy guys. I do have nicknames for every single one of them, which they're all on there. Everyone's got a nickname. They all have to have a nickname. But it is generally what I call social karting. It's bringing the fun back to karting in that particular series, because no matter how much fun you make it, believe it or not, the minute they get on track and the visor goes down, they want to win. Doesn't matter.
Race faces on,
but they're absolute gentlemen when they come off the circuit, and honestly, these guys get on with each other famously. We have such a ball. It's really good fun.
Kev, it's been an absolute joy chatting to you. You've actually got my interest now. I'm going to come along. I'm going to see you work. I'm going to see the kart guys go out there as well. And, there's so much more we can talk about. We'll have you back later on in the year.
Awesome. Yeah, Warwick this weekend, the next one, where I'm at.
So
first round of the championship.
And if you want to know a little bit more, so I'm guessing that there's a Facebook page, website.
Kev the Noise Davis Facebook page. I've got Instagram, I've got Facebook, you name it. There is a Kev the Noise Davies YouTube channel. I've just loaded the first 10 videos this morning from the Retro Karting Association, which was just yesterday. I throw them on during the night or in the morning, and they load up while I'm at work. So, yep, they're all on there. You can see it all live.
The reason I've got to stop the interview, there's not enough oxygen in the studio for both of us. So there you are. Thanks indeed. What a fascinating man.